while I'm on that subject, I know you don't like the Confederate flag.
That's right. That's right.
I know you don't like it.
That's right. That's right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't like pig anymore. I used to like it till I got knowledge. I don't kill every pig that I see. I should. I want you to listen to this. Here's a flag flying. The old South flag. Old Confederacy.
Yes, sir.
White folks like to remember yesterday.
That's right.
You remember that song? Yesterday. Life was such an easy game to play. People that live in yesterday are dead in today. But they fly that symbol. Remember when we had the Negroes? In slavery, that was the good old days. Yeah, but don't try that today. But they are trying it in a different way. They're too intelligent to just put you in slavery.
That's right. Go ahead.
I'll get to that later.
Come on with it, bro.
The Confederate flag is a symbol of the old South.
That's right.
That's history. That's American history.
Right.
They're not going to destroy that
That's right.
because we suffered under that flag.
All right. Go ahead.
That's a part of the history of this nation.
All right.
Some of the folks say, well, we should take Robert E. Lee's picture down. For what?
Go ahead, please.
For what? He was a general
That's right.
that believed in the old way of the old South. Bless his heart. And he fought Ulysses S. Grant,
That's right.
who believed in the old way
Yeah.
of the old South
Yeah. All right.
in the new North.
There you go.
One of them was Satan, and the other just a plain old devil. And you was catching hell in the North, in the South. So now you talk to me. You want to pull down the Confederate flag. Why you don't get some courage? Why you don't get some courage and pull down the American flag, since that's the flag that you still suffering under? I'm not advising that. No. I'm not advising you to do that. Because I wouldn't do that. I respect the flag. But if you just upset over the symbol of what that represents. See, the Ku Klux Klan wasn't born under the Confederate flag. It was born under the Stars and Stripes, the White Circle League and the Citizens Council and the lynchings. They weren't under the Confederacy, they were under the Stars and Stripes. When they sent you to Germany to fight, and you couldn't get no justice, that wasn't under the flag of the Confederacy, that was under the flag of the Stars and Stripes. When they broke up black organizations and killed our leaders, that wasn't under under the flag of the Confederacy. That was under the flag of the United States. But I wouldn't ask anybody to pull the flag down, because I respect the flag. It's the flag of a sovereign nation. I hope one day to be sovereign. It's the flag of an independent nation. I hope one day to see black people independent. I would not desecrate the flag. I would not burn the flag. I would not drape the flag over a toilet. Even though you've treated us like what you put in the toilet. Under the flag. And we still not getting justice. Under the flag. So brothers and sisters, it's okay if you want to pull down the Confederate flag and you want to start a movement to do that. But what that flag represents is our oppression. It would be better if we unified. That's right. And pull down what that flag and the USA flag represent as oppression to us. Use your energy to chart a new course that will make the flag meaningless. All it will be is a relic of history. You're too busy focusing on symbol, and you forget the substance. Our substance is we want freedom. We want a full and complete freedom. Am I making sense to you?
That was powerful, powerful. Peace and love, family. This is your sister, Dr. Maat, coming before you again with another powerful, powerful discussion. And today I have with me another powerful, powerful guest, Miss Sharia Lovelace. Thank you so much, Miss Sharia Lovelace, for coming on the platform. How are you, Queen?
Thank you for having me. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing okay. So Miss Lovelace is the owner and CEO of Lovelace Planning. And this is a company that provides virtual administrative support services and event planning. Miss Lovelace, if they want to contact you, how can they contact you?
The best way to contact with me would be via email at lovelaceplanning@gmail.com. That's Lovelace, PLANNING @gmail.com.
Fantastic. So thank you again, Miss Lovelace, for coming on the platform. I know this was really a impromptu discussion, and you all see the title, Symbols versus Substance. And I was actually on the telephone with Miss Lovelace today, and we were talking about all of the different things that we see white America doing to pacify Black America. And we're going to get into that a little later, but we were talking about it. And I said, Miss Lovelace, would you mind coming on the platform and having this discussion, having a public discussion about this? And she said, absolutely. And so she came on the platform, and I thank you again for coming on the platform. But so let's go into the first thing that you and I talked about earlier today. You informed me that the NFL decided that they were going to start playing Lift Every Voice and Sing at the beginning of their football games. I think they just said for week 1. Is that correct, Ms. Lovelace?
Yes, for week 1 of the season.
Yeah, so for week 1 of the season, they're going to play Lift Every Voice and Sing. We heard about that. The NFL has finally admitted that they were wrong for firing Kaepernick. You know, you have people apologizing. You see the Democrats kneeling with kente cloth on. Now they want to change the names and images of certain products like Aunt Gemima and Uncle Ben, which are nothing but racial caricatures. But anyway, we'll get into that later. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, we see Black Lives Matter spray painted on streets and on buildings now. And so a lot of our brothers and sisters are very excited about this. Even people in my family are just excited about this. They're like, you know, look at what they're doing. This is great. This is great. And my response has been the same. It's been very consistent. I said, you know, it's nice. These gestures are nice. These are nice gestures. But what we want is some substance. You know, we don't want any symbols. And even I think the great Malcolm X, and let me pull up one of his quotes, family. Give me 1 second. I was looking at it today. Malcolm X said, let me pull this up. He said, the white man will try to satisfy us with symbolic victories rather than economic equity and real justice. Okay, so this is what our great ancestor Malcolm X said, you know, about 50 years ago. And we still see that being played out in 2020. So Ms. Lovelace, what are your thoughts on, let's start with the NFL, and while you're giving me your thoughts, I'm going to pull up the article and share it with the audience.
Okay. In regards to the NFL, I do have just one small edit. They, to my knowledge, they have never actually apologized for the Kaepernick situation. The apology that Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the National Football League, gave was more an apology for their stance and the way that they handled it. They did pay Cap. They had to pay him. He won his lawsuit. And he can, if someone picks him up, play in the NFL again, which I really hope he doesn't do. But whatever the brother one does, I wish him the best of luck in all the world. So my biggest beef with the NFL is, now you're pandering to Black people. Now, yes, we were wrong, and I'm sorry, and y'all had this meeting with no Black people involved, obviously, to tell y'all that this was a bad idea. But 1 week, we're going to start, is not a real commitment to anything. Like, if we're committed to, you know, letting Black people know that we hear their voices and all of these things, why not stretch it out for the whole season? Even though it is a gesture that I do not understand what they believe they will get out of it. If you're really committed to something, then this is our new way of doing things. And this is how we're going to do it from this point out. Also, the NFL still has not come up with any real punishments or restrictions for their owners, some of which who have made openly racist statements. For instance, Jerry Jones, you know, we can't let the inmates run the prisons. Who says that? You know, and you still have football fans, not just football fans, Dallas fans, and on top of that, Black, African American, descendants of slaves, however you want to classify it, supporting this team and this owner and the NFL money-making machine as a whole. So, you know, you want to pacify us. We're sorry. We're going to throw money at the situations. But what we're not going to do is put in place any real policies to check out owners on racism as an establishment, to really redefine the culture. But we're going to give it the issue some face time to distract everybody, to make it seem like, oh, see, look, the white people are trying. I don't feel as bad about watching football. You know, amongst my family, there was a lot of viewpoints, and I'm glad that people are on the bandwagon now. Please, I believe you had Miss Millette on here a few weeks ago, or a couple days ago, and she said, you know, turn the moment into a movement. Yes, please.
Absolutely.
You know, get on the bandwagon riders. Please don't discourage the bandwagon riders. If anything, connect with them and help them channel that energy into something that will produce some long-term change. So I'm glad that everyone is here. But these things, like you say, these symbols, they get us distracted. These empty gestures to protect corporate bottom lines, they get us easily distracted and off the main topic. You know, at one point, the NFL had banned the protests to the locker room. You could not stand up for social injustice on the NFL's field. You were only allowed to kneel in the locker room. That was just last season. You know, and this miraculous moral turnaround, like they just realized all their players are Black, is, I don't know. It's just, thank you, but you can keep it. I don't need it.
It just seems disingenuous, because I'm with you. Like just last year, you know, look at the things you were doing and then the policies that you were implementing and saying that the players couldn't protest out on the field. They had to, you know, look at these things. And now all of a sudden you have a conscience. Now all of a sudden you appreciate Black people and you love Black people. And what's sad, Sister Sharia, people are falling for this crap. Our people are falling for this. I hear people saying, oh, Dr. Maat, oh, what these white folks are doing is wonderful. They're getting excited. They're driving down to Washington, D.C., and they're taking pictures of Black Lives Matter, spray painting on the sidewalk, and they're happy about it. And I keep telling our people, we need substance. You know, someone in the chat room said, where are the reparations? You know, you mysteriously found, and I believe the first round of stimulus checks, what was that, $2 trillion or something like that? I forgot the exact number, but I know it was in the trillions, right? So you found all of this money, you know, to give away. And by the way, we benefited by default. It was crying white folks who needed some money. And so they gave it to the white folks. But of course, we benefited by default and we got our checks too. But my thing is this. You gave away trillions of dollars for that. But then when we come to you and we ask you for reparation, you tell us you don't have any money. Well, you can't afford it. We can't afford reparations. But somehow you found trillions of dollars to give to the American citizens. And like I said, by default, we because, you know, it wasn't really for us. It was for the crying white folks. And by default, we benefited. But my thing is this, if you could do it then, right, you can give us reparations. And so we want real substance. And as Minister Farrakhan said in his video, he said we want full and complete freedom and not the illusion of freedom. And that's what they give us. They give us the illusion of freedom. They give us the illusion of acceptance. And we fall for it every time, because in 2020, Black people still, and I don't even like using the word Black people. I like to say Africans on the continent, Africans in the diaspora, but we still seek white love, white acceptance, and white validation. So as soon as they do something, Miss Lovelace, we're happy about it. You know, we're happy about it because we, again, like I said, we seek in 2020, we still seek white acceptance, white love, and white validation. Miss Lovelace, it seems like you want to say something. Did you want to add to that?
Oh, no, I agree with you.
All right, so let me share the screen with you, family. Miss Lovelace, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, family. So this is an article written or published on NPR, and it says the NFL will play Lift Every Voice and sing before each season opener game. All right. So it says that it will be played or performed live before every week one NFL game, as the league considers ways to recognize victims of systemic racism. The song, known as the Black National Anthem, will play at the start of every season opener game, coming before the Star Spangled Banner. A source familiar with the league's discussions told NPR. And Miss Lovelace, I wonder what the white folks are going to say in the stand when they play Lift Every Voice and sing. They might take a knee or they might turn their backs, to be honest with you. All right.
And they're playing it before the Star Spangled Banner. That's a point people need to realize. They're going to play that before. So I'd like to see how that plays out.
I want to see how that plays out too. I want to see, and we're going to see it played out. If they go through with this, we'll see it played out live on television. It says the song will be played beginning September the 10th with the nationally televised Kansas City Chiefs versus Houston Texans game. It will also play during the full slate of Sunday afternoon games, Sunday Night Football, and 2 ESPN Monday night games. The league has been in discussions on the subject with the National Football League Players Association. It says other items being discussed include on uniform elements like names of victims on helmet decals or jersey patches, educational programs, and storytelling, for example, in the form of public service announcements about victims and their families. The move highlights how the landscape of the NFL is changing in the aftermath of the death of George Floyd and nationwide protests against racial injustice. In June, several current players collaborated a video called Stronger Together, which named Black victims of police brutality and called on the NFL to publicly condemn racism, admit wrongdoing for preventing players from peacefully protesting, and affirm the Black Lives Matter. All right, it says the NFL commissioner, Roger Goodwill, issued a statement the following day condemning the systematic oppression of Black people and saying the league was wrong for not listening to the players' concerns about racism and police brutality. And he quotes, "Without Black players, there would be no National Football League." No, duh. And I would be happy, Miss Lovelace, when our people realize that, and when our people begin to start their own league. I'm thinking of the Negro leagues that we once had, where we had our own, we had our own teams, we owned the teams, we made money. I remember reading about Black women going out to the field with their food and making money, and so we controlled, all of that. So we need to go back to those days, and we need to realize that we are the talent. We are the source. We are the raw materials. And we need to capitalize on ourselves, on our talents, on our skills, instead of allowing other people to capitalize on our talent and our skills. So he says, without Black players, there would be no National Football League. And the protests, he said, in protests around the country are emblematic of the centuries of silence, inequality, and oppression of Black players, coaches, fans, and staff. He added he would reach out to players and others on how the league can improve and go forward for better and more united NFL family. All right. It says that the league is also making a financial commitment to social justice, announcing a $250 million effort over 10 years to support programs. And just like you said, Ms. Lovelace, they want to throw money at us. Okay. So $250 million effort over 10 years to support programs addressing criminal justice reform, police reforms, and economic and educational advancement. And so I'm not going to read the entire article, family. After this quote, it gets into the history of Lift Every Voice and Sang, and how, it talks about it being a poem that was written by NAACP leader James Johnson. And it became a music production. It says by his brother John Johnson in 1898, and it was first performed in the 1900s at a segregated school in Florida by a group of children commemorating the birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. And so it gets into the history of that. But Ms. Lovelace, did you want to add anything to that, Queen?
The only point that I would just like to add out there, that again, this is our plan. I'm going to talk to players. We're going to donate to these organizations for change. But what are you doing in your organization? What policies, what HR policies are you putting in place to fight the racism that you have just acknowledged? They said racism, staff, players. Oh, you acknowledge this racism on your organization. What are you doing internally? And that is my real question for the NFL. What internal deep digging, soul searching thing are you doing to make your organization not just, not racist, but anti-racist, an anti-racist organization? What are you doing?
Absolutely. And so how do you feel, Ms. Lovelace, about brothers and sisters continuing to watch or to support the NFL? You have brothers and sisters who make excuses, about watching it. I'm a big, people say I'm a big so-and-so fan, or, I just can't, I got to keep on watching it, or I'm watching it because, you still have Black players playing, and I want to support those Black players. And so I'm going to continue to watch it. And so what are your thoughts, Ms. Lovelace, on that? Black people still supporting the NFL, in lieu of, or in spite of, what they've shown us over the past, few years?
I believe it really has to do with comfort. We're like, we want change, but we don't want to jeopardize our comfort level.
Come on.
To do the things that we would have to do. And when you really think about it, the NFL not paying you. This is a leisure activity. I get it. It's a leisure activity. I want to unwind. I want to have a beer. I want crabs, Baltimore. Watch the game, chill with my friends. It's a social activity. This organization employs, you know, they make Black men millionaires and all these other things that people will throw in the conversation. I understand all of that, but you can't say, you know, we have to fight injustice except on Sundays. Sundays for football. That's not how it works. So you have to decide what you're willing to stand up for. Because how does the quote go? A man who stands for nothing will fall for anything. So you have to draw the line in the sand. It is a personal choice. And you may say, well, I have other things that I boycott. I have other things. Let me tell you something. There is so many things that I had to cry about by myself in the closet because I couldn't do them anymore. Because my conscience, my whatever you want to call it, my Black soul spirit, my sister soldier just wouldn't let me do it anymore. Things that I really love and enjoy. And we're talking about clothing. We're talking about artists, musical artists. We're talking about institutions, places to shop, places to eat. Because to me, and the life that I'm trying to lead, and the energy that I'm trying to put out in the world, and even the example that I'm trying to show my son is like, you don't have to just let people keep spitting in your face, treating you any type of way. And whether people realize it or not, that's what you're allowing the NFL to do. You're allowing them to treat you any type of way, cuddle you up, give you a hug, that, you know, we've changed for now, at least enough for you to see it, so you can go back to watching this. People forget that America is a capitalist country. Everything is built on capitalism. And yes, I'm going to apologize if it means that you about to mess up my bottom line. If you're going to mess up my bottom line, if you're going to put me in the red, take me out the black and put me in the red, yes, I'm willing to apologize for that. Because what institutions like the NFL have known all this long time, which, you know, a lot of Black people are just now starting to realize, is that we are the buying power. We spend all our money. So they want to keep as much money with them as possible. And what we have to do is figure out how to channel that money back to us.
Absolutely. So, no, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And so another thing that they are doing is, you know, food brands are responding to anti-racism movement, you know, with name and logo changes. And so let me share my screen with you, family, again. Let me see. All right, here we go. All right, so let's look at this, family. This is another article I wanted to pull up. All right, and so I know many of you heard that, you know, that the Gemima brand, they're going to change the name and change the face, you know, of the brand. And it says that the death of George Floyd, a Black man in Houston killed by police in Minneapolis in May, has put conversations around race and racism at the forefront for the past week. All right. And it says food has not come out of this unscathed. While a source of great pleasure and joy, food also has a history of being weaponized. So food has a history of being weaponized. All right. It says racist tropes and stereotypes have been capitalized on to sell products since the dawn of food commodification. In the last few weeks alone, a slew of food and drink brands announced they would change their name and appearance due to the concerns over racist connotations. Many were called on well before this year to do so. And exactly, many Black folks have been saying years. Black folks have been saying this for a while. So it says Gemima. So we're going to name some, family. And you know what's sad, Miss Lovelace? These are brands that a lot of us support. These are brands that you can find in virtually almost every Black household. And these brands promote racial caricatures, racial stereotypes, but yet we promote them. I remember a long time ago, my older cousin, Shawnee, she told me, she said, you teach people how to treat you. And we are treated the way we are treated in this country because we can't keep blaming white folks, right? We can't keep saying that we're complicit in the way we get treated too, you know, and, you know, we've taught them that they can spit in our face and we will still forgive them. We will still love them. Let's think about and YouTube, but this probably be I know with this conversation I'm going in, so I know tomorrow I'm going to get a notification that we had to take the video down. But anyway, I'm thinking about all of the victims of police killings, and you see the family members get on television and they say, literally your mom or your son or your daughter just got murdered, and literally not even 24 hours later, Black folks are on television or on social media telling white folks, we forgive you, we forgive you. So again, we teach people how to treat us. Even with the Aunt Gemima brands and the brands we buy, they've been promoting these racial stereotypes on food for years, and Black folks will still buy them. So anyway, Aunt Gemima says Quaker Oats announced that it would retire the name and logo of its pancake mix and brand syrup. Aunt Gemima character has roots in a minstrel song that romanticized the antebellum South. While the mascot went through small cosmetic updates over the years, because what we see, let me show you, family, this isn't the original Aunt Jemima's face, okay? So it says that while the mascot went through small cosmetic updates over the years, she still portrays a mammy figure, the stereotype of an enslaved housekeeper who happily worked for her white masters. And it says Pepsi, right? Pepsi, Quaker Oats parent company, said that the rebranding will be complete by the end of the year, with the name change coming later. And I'm not going to read the whole article, family. You have cream of wheat, Dixie beer. It says oncrone.com, Eskimo pie, Miss Butterworth, and even Uncle Ben. I'm sitting here thinking about Uncle Ben rice, so it says Uncle Ben, and it says it depicts an elderly Black man also originated in racist stereotypes and imagery. All right. So yeah. So that's another thing, family, that they're doing to pacify us. That's another symbol that they've given us. Ms. Lovelace, did you want to add anything to that before I move on to the next?
Just a few, like the Aunt Jemima thing. I'm glad that they mentioned there have been multiple attempts. I think it's funny that to make it less racist over the years, like, so you acknowledge the fact that there's an issue, but we don't want to change it too much because you know why? It will inconvenience us. And then what if people don't recognize the brand? What if people don't buy it? Again, all part of the bottom line. People care because their bottom lines are being affected. If they don't make an active change, then they will be behind the 8 ball and they will lose money. But for some of these products, there are great alternatives. Anybody who likes to cook or pancakes or anything like that, you can make this stuff from scratch and save tons of money. Save money, put that money back in your home, and the ingredients will help you make all other types of wholesome, healthy things for your family. So I encourage people to look at alternatives and not just buy the ready-made products, but buy the ingredients to make these things at home on your own, wholesome and good for your family, and you don't have to support the machine that way. Just a tidbit.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I think that, we need to get back to growing our own foods and growing our own foods and opening up, farmers markets that we own and control, and manage and get back to that. I remember growing up as a young girl not growing up in Sumter County, South Carolina. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland, born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. But during the summers, my mother would send me down to Sumter County. My cousin and I, we go to Sumter County, South Carolina. And when we were there, I remember as a child looking at my Uncle Lucky's farm. In the back, Uncle Lucky had chickens and he had cows and he had chickens, cows, and pigs. And he was growing collard greens. He was growing string beans, peas, and all sorts of stuff. And as a child, I didn't understand the value in that. I was just, Uncle Lucky and them, they growing this, growing that. But, I'll be 40 next year, family. And so at 40, I recognize now that was power. What I witnessed was power. That was power where you can feed yourself and feed your family. That was power that I was looking at. And we got to get back to that. We got to get back to growing our own foods, banding together, growing our own food and cooking again. And so I couldn't agree with you more, Miss Lovelace. Did you want to add something?
Just one resource. If you are in Maryland, there is a Black-owned farmers market, Black-owned and operated farmers market in Maryland. It's called Jenny's. I believe it's Jenny's Farmers Market is in Friendship, Maryland. Again, yes, it is a hike, but we have to be willing to be uncomfortable to step outside our comfort zone and support the things that we believe in and live a lifestyle that supports those things. So
and I like the words that you're using, Miss Lovelace, the language that you're using. You know, earlier in our conversation, you said, you know, sacrifices. You said people don't want to give up their comfortability. You know, you gotta make sacrifices. You gotta be uncomfortable. And that is a huge problem. That we just don't want to come out. We're comfortable going to the supermarket. It's easy to just drive in your car, go down the street, go to Food Lion, go to Food King or whatever, Giant, Safeway, whatever your supermarket preference is. It's easy to get in the car, go there, pick up what you need, come back. It might be in a box. You throw it in the microwave, you throw it in the oven, and you keep it pushing. You know, and so we've become very comfortable, and in our comfort, we're being oppressed. And we're not going to rise above our oppression unless we want to be uncomfortable. Right now, and I'm thinking about, oh my goodness, Blood in My Eye. That was a book I have on my bookshelf. And in the book Blood in My Eye, he talks about that. He says that revolution is not going to be easy. It's not going to be comfortable. It's going to require sacrifice. And so a lot of us say we want change, but we're not willing to make the sacrifices, the necessary sacrifices, in order to produce that change. And so I just wanted to, point that out. So, all right, Miss Lovelace, we'll move on to the next article. This is our second to the last article, family. I'm going to share my screen with you again. All right. So, no, I don't think this is it. Is it? Let me see. Okay, yes, it is it. All right. So this is an article published on CNN. Confederate statues are coming down following George Floyd's death. Here's what we know. All right. So it says, it's giving you talking about the death of George Floyd. It says controversial monuments, especially Confederate monuments, have been the subject of nationwide debate, particularly since Darren Roof killed 9 African Americans in Charleston, South Carolina church in 2015 in an effort to start a race war. Okay. And it says, and it flared up again when white nationalists marched in 2017 to protest the removal of Robert E. Lee's statue in Charlottesville, Virginia, where a counter protester was killed amid violent clashes between demonstrators. It says some say they mark history and honor heritage. Others argue they are racist symbols of America's dark legacy of slavery. While some cities have already made efforts to remove them, others have passed laws to protect them. So let me scroll on down. So you have a statue coming down in Richmond, Virginia. It says on July 1st, Richmond Mayor LeVar Stoney ordered the immediate removal of several Confederate statues. In a video to the public, he talks about why. Jefferson Davis. All right, so several of them, Christopher Columbus, Jefferson Davis. It says in Charleston, South Carolina, it says crews in Charleston have removed a statue of a politician, John C. Calhoun, from its pedestal in Marion Square on June the 24th. All right, and it gives some history on Calhoun. It says Norfolk, Virginia, the top Confederate monument in downtown Norfolk was removed by the city. It says a statue of a soldier known as Johnny Reb was lifted off of its pedestal and taken down in Portsmouth, Virginia. It says protesters dismantled the town's Confederate monument. It says even completely removing one of the statues on June the 10th. All right. So it's talking about that. Louisville, Kentucky. They're taking statues down there. Let me see. Jacksonville, Florida. Birmingham, Alabama. Montgomery, Alabama. Alexandria, Virginia. Okay, so family all over the place. We see that these statues are coming down. And so, Miss Lovelace, what are your thoughts about that? What are your thoughts about, seeing that these Confederate, monuments or statues are coming down? How do you feel about that?
Um, okay, so I do agree that they need to come down. What I don't want to happen, and kind of maybe what Minister Farrakhan may have been touching on, I might be stretching, but it is still part of the history of the country. We can't pretend like it didn't happen. We can't just lock it up in a closet and hope that people forget, because if we do that, we run the risk of it happening again, because we don't know our history. We've locked away our history now. We don't remember the hate. Our children 75, 100 years from now may never know what racism is if we do something like that. So what I think should happen is that these, I guess, artifacts at this time, they could be classified as, should be transferred to some type of museum where we can re-educate people on the history of America and the difference between a hero and a murderer. And you know what I'm saying? Things like that. Let's take what we need to take. We can destroy some of it. We don't have to keep all of it. I don't want anybody to think that. But let's take the big pieces, the Confederate flag. Let's really teach the history around that and why this is wrong and what happened as a result of people not realizing that they were on the wrong side of history. Things like that. I think that's kind of what they did with all the Nazi paraphernalia. You can only find that stuff in a museum. That stuff is not out on the street. It is not being paraded around in people's faces. None of that is happening. It is in museums with the full history, the accounts, the atrocities, so people can see like really how bad things can get when supremacy is factored into the equation. So yes, take the statues down, but don't throw all the statues away, because that's how people forget easily. Let's take these statues, these monuments, this memorabilia, and use it to re-educate people about the holistic history of America, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the stuff that people want you to forget about.
Okay, I'm glad. I actually I understand your perspective and agree with it. I guess I was a sort of indifferent. It didn't matter to me. Leave them up. There's a relic of history, as the minister said. It's a relic of history. I'm really unbothered by them, but I do understand that symbols have power. Symbols symbols can be very powerful, and I know they're cultural. And I guess I was indifferent. I felt like, if you want to leave them up, leave them up. If you want to take them down, take them down. I really was unbothered by it. And again, I think that my focus has just been on substance rather than, the symbol. So I think I was a bit like kind of leave them up, take them down, whatever you all want, because at the end of the day, I want the substance. I'm not worried about the symbol. So, but I do agree with that perspective. Don't throw it away, because like you said, it happened. This is a part of history. And like you said, we're not going to hide it. We're going to tell the whole story, and it definitely needs to be seen. And it's a part of our history that should be taught. So I definitely agree with you on that, Ms. Lovelace. And I'm going to share our last article.
Okay.
I'll share our last article. It's the last thing that you and I talked about. And I think you kind of touched on it, Ms. Lovelace, when we were talking about the statues. You did mention the Confederate flag.
Okay.
So, yeah, you mentioned the Confederate flag. And so this is our last article. All right. So it says that the U.S. Marine Corps to remove displays of the Confederate battle flag. I'm not going to play the video, but it says that the United States Marine Corps has issued a directive to remove all public displays of the Confederate battle flag from their installations. This new directive was handed down on Friday. According to the directive, Marine Corps commanders must identify and remove the display of the Confederate battle flag or its depictions within workplaces, common access areas, and public areas on their installations. The directive applies to the entire Marine Corps. All right. It says the flags are being removed in order to support our core values, ensure unit cohesion and security, and preserve good order and discipline, the directive explains. And it says, while there were many different battle flags used by the Confederacy, the directive specifies the flag in question is the battle flag carried by the Army of Northern Virginia during the Civil War. And I think that is the flag that we commonly see when we type in, the Confederate flag. All right. And it says that exceptions to the new directive include works of art where the flag is present, but not the main focus. Confederate grave sites, state issued license plates depicting the flag, and any official state flags that incorporate the Confederate battle flag. It says, in addition to office buildings, facilities, and naval vessels and aircraft, the directive notably also applies to all areas in public in plain view. So, Ms. Lovelace, what are your thoughts about that?
Same type of thing, like it's not in public, it's not in plain view. It is in very selective situations where it can be viewed in context. It does not need to be berated around in people's faces. It was, you are glorifying basically a terrorist movement against the United States of America and its policies, the country you love so much. And then I think it's really weird that the Marine Corps, white people love the military. The Marine Corps is like, okay, we have to stop. And white people are still like, it's heritage, not hate. Like, what are you talking about right now? It's really sad. A lot of days, over the course of any Black person's life are going to be sad. But this year, I feel like everything has just kind of come together at one time in such a short period of time. And those people who, have been in this for a while, have been educating themselves for a while, have been trying to live a life towards empowering Black people, empowering Black communities, empowering women, empowering children, keeping Black men uplifted. We are kind of sitting back like we always knew it would get here. But for me, like it still seems like it just all happened so fast.
It did.
And like I said, the Confederate flag is like, I feel like it's one of those things. Let's reteach it as what it is. Let's stop lifting it up as heritage. No, it was an attack on American soil against America. Because y'all, again, over money, over slave labor, over free labor. It was over money, over capitalism. So let's teach it the right way, so that it doesn't happen again.
All right. And then I actually agree with Brother Nkrumah Torre. And I have the comment on the screen, family. It says racism is still in the hearts and minds of whites. The statues are merely expressions of white supremacy, but it remains deep-seated in the races themselves. So their removal means nothing to me. And that's and that's what I've been telling folks, we're still dealing with, systemic racism. And you want me to be happy because we removed a statue, or we taking down flags, or you're changing names of pancake boxes, or you singing the national anthem, lift every voice. And so I'm supposed to be happy about this? No. As Minister Farrakhan stated in the video, we want full and complete freedom. And so some people are listening saying, Dr. Maat, so what does that mean? What does that look like to you? You'll find out next week when we have our Friday talk with Miss Lovelace. Miss Lovelace, do you have any closing words for the listening audience?
Just to make the small changes first. Sacrifice something. You have to sacrifice something for this if you're really in it. And it doesn't have to start huge. Make those small everyday changes. Seek out the institutions that are pumping into your communities. If you don't volunteer any place, I recommend that you find an organization that aligns with your goals for Black people, the Black community, saving Black lives. Let's do more action. Find your niche where you fit in your community, your passion, and share that energy, because we need it so that every day we can get closer and closer to our goals.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree with you more. Family, join me back here tomorrow at 8 p.m. I have Dr. Takai Kilimanjaro coming on the channel to discuss the 4th of July, the historical origins of the 4th of July and its relevance to African people. So we're going to have this build tomorrow. It's going to be a powerful build. I'm going to give away some books. And I know you all like giveaways. I'm going to be giving away a few books. And so join me back here, 8 p.m. I've already set up the broadcast. So go to my YouTube channel, click the set reminder so that as soon as I go live, you are reminded. Family, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to Dr. Maat on YouTube. Subscribe, click the notification bell. Also, family, thumb up the video. We had a powerful dialogue today. It was powerful. Two sisters building on issues. I know the brothers are always building, and you on YouTube, you see the brothers going at it. But, you know, lately, I hope that you see that Dr. Maat, we bring on the sisters to talk about these issues. And I'm going to be bringing on more powerful sisters. So definitely subscribe to the channel. Thumb up this video. Not only thumb up the video, but please leave a comment. Please leave a comment under the video, because I know that YouTube works based on algorithms. And so when you thumb it up and when you leave comments, most of, you know, my videos will start populating, you know, on the YouTube engine or search engine. So definitely thumb up the video, family, leave a comment. I will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Peace and power.